All right, welcome back to another live stream. We're working through our level 1 workbook. We're doing another beginner grammar lesson. Today we are learning some new particles. These particles are used when you're talking about going between places. Naja, happy to have you here. Hi, 안녕하세요. So, if you want to talk about going from one place to another place, you can use these two particles. The 에서 particle means from, and the 까지 particle means to. So, first we have an exercise. Using the verb 가다 to go, write sentences in the simple present tense about going from the first location to the second location. The first has been done as an example. So let's look at this example. So we have three things. First of all, we have the nouns, right? The two nouns. Here we have London and Paris. London is London and Paris is Paris. So in this sentence, we're talking about going from London to Paris. So we have our two nouns, and then we need to put on our particles. The from particle is 에서, which is right here. So London에서 means from London. 파리까지 means to Paris. And then we have the verb 가요, to go. I don't know if you can actually read this with the... I might just write London에서. I don't know if this is making this better or worse. 파리까지 가요. So those are where all the pieces go. Your two nouns, the 에서 particle means from, the 까지 particle means to. So from London to Paris, I go. Or I go from London to Paris. Let's look at B. We have two new nouns. Well, we have 파리, which we had before, and Moskova. Moskova, which is, I believe, Moscow. So we have Paris, from Paris to Moscow. So we have first our two nouns, so we'll put that in. Paris, from Paris, 파리에서. Moscow, Moskva. Moscow까지 means to Moscow I go. Actually, it's curious, a lot of the time the Korean pronunciation is closer to the sort of native pronunciation of this country. Like we say in Korean, they say Paris instead of Paris, for example. So I wonder if Moskva is closer to the Russian pronunciation of Moscow. I don't actually know how to say Moscow in Russian, but I wonder if that's closer to the true pronunciation. Interesting. Anyway, just to highlight our little pieces again, Paris and Moskva are our two nouns. We have the 까지 particle meaning to, and the 에서 particle meaning from. Let's look at C. New York and Roma. So we have New York, which is New York, and Roma, which is Rome. So we're going to talk about going from New York to Rome. So New York is how you write New York in Korean. 에서 is from New York. New York에서, from New York. We put our next noun, Roma, which is Rome. 까지, to Rome, I go. New York, Rome. From New York to Rome, I go. All right, next let's look at D. We have two new places, Sydney and Seattle. So that's Sydney and Seattle. How do you say I'm going to go from Sydney to Seattle? We start with our nouns. Sydney. 에서 means from. Sydney에서 means from Sydney. And then that's my bad. Sydney까지, to Seattle, I go. I go from Sydney to Seattle. Sydney에서 Seattle까지, and 가요 means to go. All right, two lucky last, E and F. E, 집 and 사무실. Thank you for the roses, I appreciate that. So 집 means house or home. So how do you say I'm going to go from the 집, my home, to my 사무실, which is my office or my workplace? So we start with 집. 집에서 means from home, and then 사무실 means 사무실까지, to the office I go. You can see the formula, right? It's pretty simple. You just take those pieces and then you attach on your particles and you are good to go. That's all you really need in Korean to talk about going from one place to the other. Alicia, working along with you in my workbook. That is an amazing way to learn. Props to you, because I think that is excellent. Good job. All right. And lucky last, we have F, 바다 and 식당. So we're going to go from the 바다, which is the ocean or the beach, to the 식당, which is the restaurant. How do we say that? We start with our from place, which is the 바다. From the 바다 is 바다에서. And then to the 식당 is 식당까지. 까지 is the to particle. And lucky last, you have our verb. The verb always goes in the end in Korean. All right. Let me just put my lids back on my highlighters so they don't dry out. All right, let's look at some more examples using eso and 까지. First, we're going to look at some multiple choice questions. So let's look at these, see if you can pick the right answer. A, when used with motion verbs like 가다 and 오다, 에서 indicates what? Does it indicate the place you're moving from, or does it indicate the place you're moving to? What does the 에서 indicate? Have a think, see if you remember from the previous page. Test yourself a little bit, write it in the comments if you think about it. It's the from particle, yes. It's the place you're moving from. That is the correct answer, I. When used with motion verbs like 가다 and 오다, 까지 indicates 1, the place you're moving from, or 2, the place you're moving to. So this should be pretty clear from the previous sentence, right? It's the other one. Yes, correct. It's number 2, the place you're moving to. C, you always have to use both eso and 까지 in your sentences. Is this true or false? This one's a little bit tricky. In the previous page, we did always use both, but is that a rule? Do you have to always use both? Yes, Naya's, you're correct. It is false, actually. You don't have to use both. And we're going to look at some examples of just using one or the other in the future exercises, but you don't have to. You can sometimes just use one. And we'll look more at that later. Hello, what's the topic today? The topic today is eso and 까지. Talking about going to and from places. D, the sentence 미국에서 왔어요 could be translated to 1, I am in America, 2, I came to America, 3, I came from America, or the sentence 미국에서 왔어요 is not grammatically correct. What does it mean? Well, we know the verb 오다 means to come, and we know that the 에서 particle is the from particle. So America from, I came. Or number 3, I came from America. Right? 미국 from, out of America, I came. 미국에서 왔어요. So if someone asks you in Korea, where did you come from? You can say 미국에서 왔어요. I came from America. All right. E. The sentence 사무실까지 갔어요 could be translated to 1. I went to the office. 2. I will go to the office. 3. I came from the office. Or 4. The sentence 사무실까지 갔어요 is not grammatically correct. Okay, so what do we have here? Now we have the verb 갔어요, which means went. It is in the past tense, right? It's the past tense. Went, I guess this should be came, anyway. And then we have the 까지 particle, which means to. So 사무실까지 means to the office I went. Or 1. I went to the office. Good job, good job. And then F. The sentence 도서관에서 헬스장까지 못 갔어요 could be translated to. So you got to remember what this 못 means. 1. I couldn't go from the gym to the library. 2. I couldn't go from the library to the gym. 3. I didn't go from the gym to the library. Or 4. I didn't go from the library to the gym. What's the difference between 에 and 까지? 에 is just the that is an interesting question, actually. I've never thought about that. The difference between 에 and 까지. 에 points at the location as somewhere that you can either come or go from. Like you can use 에 to say I came somewhere or I went somewhere. But 에서 is specifically just from and 까지 is specifically just to. Anyway, this one here, 도서관에서. So we have the library, the 도서관, library from the 에서 particle, 헬스장, gym까지 to 못 갔어요. So from the library to the gym, I could not go, which is to, I believe. You can use somebody using 에 where it's from a place. So you can say 학교에 왔어요. Like 제 친구가 학교에 왔어요. My friend came to school. Yeah, 에 is the location particle. 에 marks some location of some direction of movement, and 까지 does a similar thing, but it's more specific. 에 is used in a lot of other ways outside of talking about locations, outside of talking about directions. 에 is used in a lot more different circumstances. Yeah, and the other thing to remember here about 못 is that it does mean couldn't. When you use 못, you imply that you can't do something, right? So that's why it's between these two, and that's why it's not one of these options. The name of the book, please. Sure, this is the name of the book. This is so confusing, yes. This is one of those things that it just takes a little while. Even for me looking at this sometimes, I don't use these particles that often. I'm like, I've got to think about it, like, 에서, okay, 까지. It just takes a little bit of practice. So the book is called the Level 1 Workbook. All right, 에서 and 까지 imply movement. Yeah, they're specifically used for moving between things. It's sort of, they've got a specific usage that they're not used outside of that. Whereas 에 has a broader usage. We saw it with times, we saw it with dates, we saw it with locations. It's a lot of broader usages for 에. And also for 에서. 에서 is tricky, but yeah. Anyway. So number 3, we're going to do some more exercises, some more practice. This time we're going to translate. We're going to start with this Korean sentence and write an equivalent English expression. By the way, I love this book. It's great when using together with Talk to Me in Korean. Awesome. I'm so glad. It's definitely a good idea to learn from lots of different resources if you can. If you have the means, I highly recommend getting different books and using them side by side. Gaji has the meaning of until also. Yes, correct. Gaji can also mean until when talking about times. So it has another use there. Correct. We'll look at that actually in the sort of next chapter, I believe, is about buto and gaji. But for now, we're looking at 에서 and 가지. All right. A is 저는 런던에서 뉴욕까지 가요. So I, 런던에서, that means from London, right? 에서 is the from particle. I'm going to highlight all these. 에서. And then we've got 가지 is our to particle. 가지. So I, from London to New York, go. Or I go from London to New York. I'm just going to write New York because that's easier. 에서 can also be used as a description of something, doing something somewhere. Yes, correct, your lovely sunshine. 에서 can also be used to talk about doing something at a location. A lot of these particles have multiple usages. Yes. We're going to learn them in these specific contexts, and then you'll see them used in lots of different contexts as well. All right. B. 저는 바다에서 집까지 가요. I, 바다, which is the beach, 에서, so from the beach, 집, home or my house, 까지 가요. So this you could say literally like I go from the beach to my house. You could also probably naturally in English just say I came home from the beach. But just for the sake of this example, I'm going to write it out more literally. And so I say I go from the beach to home. But that's not super natural in English, right? Maybe more naturally you could just say, I come home from the beach. But just to spell it out more literally, I'll write the full sentence here. And then C, 메리는 학교에서 도서관까지 가요. 바다 is sea. Yeah, 바다 it can mean sea, it can mean ocean, it can mean the coast, it can mean the beach. 해변 is beach. 해변 is also beach. A bit of a difference between 해변 and 바다, this is a little aside. 바다 can mean sort of the coastline in general. Anywhere that the ocean meets the land can be 바다. 해변 is specifically a place where you go swimming. So you don't swim at all the 바다s, right? Sometimes the beach is too rough or too rocky. You know, if that 바다 is too rough, you don't swim there. A swimming place, a place where you go swimming, is a 해변. So they're similar, but they're a little bit different. They can both be used to talk about the beach. All right. 메리는 학교에서 도서관까지 가요. So Mary, from school to the library, goes. Or Mary goes from school to the library. I'm going to zoom out a little bit again so you can see. All right. And D, 톰은 도서관에서 영화관까지 가요. So Tom, from the library to the movie theater, goes. Tom goes from the library to the movie theater or to the movies or the cinema, whatever you want to say. Question, could 에 replace 까지 in these types of sentences? No, I don't think so. If you'd said 저는, because of this 에서 here, it's sort of more natural to put 까지 for the to place. If you said 런던에서 뉴욕에 가요, I don't think that's natural. I could be wrong. I'm not a native speaker, but to me, I've never seen that before. So I can check that, but I don't think so. All right. Number 4. Given the English sentences, write an equivalent Korean expression using eso and gaji. So now we're going to go from the English into some Korean. Number 1, I go from Korea to Japan. So optional, we have our 저는. 저는 from Korea is 한국에서. To Japan is 일본까지 가요. All right, beautiful, Kyra. Good job. B, I go from Japan to America. 저는 from Japan is 일본에서 미국까지 가요. Oh, you can't see the end there. Let me zoom out again. Hopefully it's still not too small to see, but C, I go from home to the bus stop. So bus stop is maybe a word you're not familiar with, but it is down here at the bottom, so you can check the vocab list. Bus stop is 버스 정류장. So I go from home is 집에서 버스 정류장까지 가요. I go from home to the bus stop. Beautiful, good job. D, I went, so careful to use the past tense, I went from the office to the subway. Okay, and office we had earlier. Office you could use 사무실 or you can use 회사. Both mean the office. I think here we're just going to use 사무실 since we used it on the previous page. 사무실에서 지하철 is the subway. 까지, and then past tense, right? 갔어요. You got to have that double shit here for the past tense. Don't forget that. All right, E. Tom came from the cafe to the bakery. So we're talking about Tom now, so let's specify him. Tom은, he's the topic. He came from the cafe. Cafe is also down here. 카페에서 bakery까지. So bakery, there's a couple different words for that. We're going to use 빵집. Literally, that's bread house. 빵 is bread and 집 is house. 빵집까지. And then we've got the word came, which is the past tense of order, which is 왔어요. 톰은 카페에서 빵집까지 왔어요. And we got one last. I went from the gym to the library. I'm going to do this quickly because I think you guys get the gist. 저는 헬스장에서 도서관까지 갔어요. I went from the gym to the library. All right, so you get the idea. What if we add something extra? What if we add another piece? We add in some times. What if we add in some times now? How would we do this? Let's have a go. Let's give it a try. Are you Australian? I'm from New Zealand. I'm a Kiwi. So write sentences using eso and gaji that also use time vi. So we learned about times in a previous chapter. You can indicate that something, actually a previous book even, previous lesson, earlier in this book. We learned we can use the particle to say you do something at some time. So A, at 5, I went from school to the soccer field. Okay, so we've got some new vocab. We've got 축구장 is soccer field. and the number 5. Number 5. So this is, actually we can just cheat. You can still write the number 5, right? But it's taso. Taso is the number 5. And to indicate that it's a time of a clock, shi. Taso shi means 5 o'clock. Now to say at 5 o'clock is taso shi e. So this at 5 is taso shi e. And then we do the rest. From school, 학교에서, to the soccer field, which is, you can reference down here, the 축구장, literally that's the soccer place, 까지 갔어요, I went. Can you write it fully too, please? Oh, you mean write out the numbers fully? I can do that for the other ones. 5시에 학교에서 축구장까지 갔어요. This next one, at 11, I go from biology to chemistry class. So these names are down here. Biology is 생물교실, biology class, and chemistry class is 화학교실. You don't have to memorize these words if they're not relevant to you, but it's just to give some more examples. Question, what book is this? This is the Level 1 workbook. This is what the cover looks like. It is linked in this live stream. It is available on Amazon and TikTok Shop, and also via our website. I thought I was the only one who wanted to learn Korean. You are not alone, I promise you that. Everyone here is keen to learn Korean. I myself love learning Korean. You are not alone. Okay, at 11. So how do we say at 11? Well, we need the noun, we need to know 열한. 열한 is 11. 열 is 10 and 한 is 1. 시 means o'clock and 에 means at that time. So at 11 is 11시에. 11시에 생물, I don't know if I can fit this actually. 생물, right, try and write small. 교실에서 화학 교실까지, oh my gosh, 가요. I just made it. Actually, I like this word 화학. Hwa in Korean and Hanja derives from the word fire. Actually, there's a couple of different meanings for hwa, so I'm not entirely sure that hwahak is fire study, but I love the idea that chemistry class is fire study class because of all the burning you do in chemistry class. It's kind of, I like that. All right, is air used as o'clock too? The o'clock, I think, is more she. This she indicates o'clock. The air is just the at. So, like 11 o'clock at 11 o'clock. This is kind of random, but is 그대 the formal form of no? I have not seen or heard the word 그대 before, unless it's a very unusual or old-fashioned word to say no. I've never heard that before. 당신 is the formal version of no. I have not seen 그대, but it's possible. It could be some name of title, or there's a lot of personal pronouns in Korean, more than I probably know. You use 가요 instead of 갔어요 because it's present time. Yeah, so it says at 11 I go in the present, so I'm using the present 가요. Why do you have to add the 까지 bit? I guess it's just to show that it's the final destination between two places. When you're going between 2 points, it's most natural to use 까지 to use your to show the final destination. Let me highlight these guys again. Oh, I've been switching these around, haven't I? Oh well, that's fine. 에서 and 까지. I listened to K-drama song of The Lovely Runner and it said 그대는, yeah. So there's a lot of those, in songs especially, there's a lot of language that you'll find stuff that's not really used anywhere else or it's uncommon. We do the same thing actually in English songs too. You'll hear words that you would never use anywhere else. So you could probably learn it as you, but I wouldn't use it myself. If that is indeed the full sentence, but yeah. You're a present. 그대는 선물입니다. You're a gift. It's a nice sentence. But I wouldn't say that someone without knowing the full context of the word 그대. C. At 9, I go from ballet lessons to piano lessons. So at 9 is 9시, right? 9 is 9, right? Oh my goodness. 여덟 is 8. No, is it 9 or 7? 7 is 7. 9, just double checking. 9시에 means at 9 o'clock, 9시에, from ballet lessons, which is ballet 수업에서, to piano lessons, piano 수업, oh my gosh, I did not give enough space on these questions. 까지 가요. All right. 9시에 means at 9 o'clock. 발레 수업에서, from ballet lessons, piano 수업까지, to piano lessons I go. So 시에 means at o'clock. Yes, correct. And then you put the number before at the front. D. At 2, I go from the restaurant to the office. Now, you could have o'clock in all of these sentences here. We just didn't put it in because it didn't fit. There was not enough space. But any of these sentences could also use o'clock in the English. They are busy if they're going from lesson to lesson to lesson. Very true. In Korea, actually, it's very common for kids to attend a lot of after-school classes. They're called hagwons in Korea, and it's very common for people to go to multiple hagwons in a week after school. They might have after school, they might go to an English hagwon, English class. They might have sports. They might have musical instruments. There's a lot going on if you're a child in Korea. And anywhere in the world. I think it's more common nowadays all around the world. A lot of kids are doing all sorts of extracurricular things. You know, parents want them to, have the most diverse sort of resume for college. Like, there's a whole bunch of pressure on kids nowadays to do so much. How often do I do these lives? It's so helpful. Thank you so much. I do these live streams every Monday and Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Common in Greece as well. Yeah, I feel like it's getting more and more common these days. All those extracurriculars. All right. D. At 2, I go from the restaurant to the office. So at 2. 2 in Korean is do. 2시에. At 2 o'clock, 2시에. From the restaurant is 식당에서. Restaurant from. office까지. 사무실까지 가요. All right. At 9, at 2. 2시에 is at 2 o'clock. 식당에서, from the restaurant. 사무실까지, to the office. And you can use 회사 as well for office, that's fine. 회사 also means office. 회사 is kind of more closely connected to words like company, enterprise, business, whereas 사무실 is more closely connected to words like, working space, working area, that sort of thing. But they overlap as well. Yeah. And yes, I'm from New Zealand. E. I get home at 4. So this is a little bit of a change, right? It's a bit of a tricky one. In the previous examples, we've used both of these particles every time. But now we just have I get home at 4. So if we were to say this in Korean using one of these particles, how would you do that? How would you have a go at doing that? Is 에서 to go? No, 가요 means to go. This verb is at the end, means to go. 에서 means from. Yeah. So I get home at 4 o'clock. Well, the time is still the same. So let's say at 4, we'll start there. 4 o'clock is 4시에. 네 is the number 4, and 시에 means at that time, at that o'clock. 4시에. Now I get home. I get home. Anyone have any ideas of what that could be? I get home. We know the place, right, is home. 집. Now we need a particle. The particle we use here, we're arriving at some destination, right? So that we should use 가지. 집까지 means to arrive at home, with home being your ending point, right? 집까지 means to home. 4시에 집까지. Now 왔어요 means you arrived there, right? You arrived there from somewhere else. You could probably say 왔어요. 4시에 집까지 왔어요. Remember earlier in this live stream at the beginning, we talked about how you don't necessarily need to have both particles in your sentences. Now, some of you might be wondering, okay, what's the difference between 4시에 집에 왔어요 versus 4시에 집까지 왔어요? Now, they're pretty similar. There's not really a big difference. My feeling, I guess, is that when you use 까지, it's a little bit more final. It's a little bit more, because when you use 까지, you're indicating your final destination. So there's a little bit more of a feeling of finality to it. You know, you arrived home, you got home, that kind of thing. Kanad, you don't use pronouns. Generally, no, in Korean, you do not need to use pronouns. All of these, optionally, you could include one. You could say 저는, 저는, 저는. But it's actually very natural in Korean to omit the pronouns and just leave it out. Okay. And now, if I get to the office at 6, 가지 is arrival of destination. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, actually. It's arrival of your final destination is 가지. And if I get to the office at 6. So let's start with our particle, in our time. 6 is 여섯. 여섯 is 6. And then 시에 means at that o'clock. At that time. So 6시에 means at 6 o'clock. I get to the office. So here we have the noun 사무실, or 회사 if you prefer. And this is a similar thing. I get to the office at 6. So it's really a similar sentence, right? 회사까지 or 사무실까지 왔어요. All right. And we saw earlier how you can use, 에서 by itself as well. Like in this sort of sentence, 미국에서 왔어요 means from America I came. So those are two examples where you have only used one of these particles, but it's still very possible to do so. Didi, so 저는 doesn't have to be used, or am I just, yes, that is absolutely correct. 저는 does not have to be used in Korean sentences. If you do not put in any pronoun, everyone will assume first that you're talking about yourself. So you don't have to specify 저는. You can if you like, it's not wrong to do so, but it's not necessary to, because everyone's going to assume that you mean 저는 even if it's not there. And particularly if you're making many sentences about yourself, you can just drop the chon-ins. It's more natural than putting it in every single sentence, because unless, you start talking about somebody else, everyone knows you're talking about yourself. So it's not required. That being said, it's not wrong to include it if you're more comfortable. I know a lot of English speakers want to put chon in sentences because in English you have to have that I, right? You have to have some pronoun, some subject. So as a Korean learner, a lot of people like to put in chon in, and that's fine. Like, you can do that. But it's also very normal and very common to drop it entirely. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay. So that actually is the end of this chapter. That was our final exercise. The next chapter we'll do next week is about buta and kaji. So this is for talking about spans of time. You used eso and kaji to talk about spans of distance, and we're going to use buta and kaji to talk about spans of time. So next time we'll look at that. Didi. So it's better to say it only if you're in a group setting so they know. Yeah, sometimes that can be a good place to use chon. And if you are with a group of people and you want to make sure people know that you're not talking about, Mary or Sarah next to you, you can say chon in. It's a very normal time to use chon in because you're making it clear that I'm talking about myself now. Question, what is the topic for tomorrow? So on Tuesdays, I do level 2. Let me see what the topic for tomorrow is. I think it's another irregular verb. Oh yeah, it's the irregular. This is what we're doing tomorrow. All right. But that is the end of today. Just as a quick recap, we learnt how you can use the eso and kaji particles to talk about going between places or talking about spans of distance, specifically when you're talking about going from one place to another place. And we learnt about how you can use it in sentences and also how you can also have times involved as well. That's what we did today. And then next week, we're going to look at buta and kaji. As always, if you want to come back and watch this lesson again, or if you missed some parts, I will upload this recording on YouTube so you can see it there. And all of my previous recordings are up there as well. If you so desire, just search Goose Apple Books in YouTube. You'll find us on YouTube. This is the book, the cover. It's right here. It's called the Level 1 Workbook if you are interested in getting it. If you prefer to work at your own pace, or you want to try some things on your own, or go back in the book or go forward in the book, I recommend getting the book yourself and trying it out. You can always use this live stream and the book in tandem. You might have some questions or something doing it yourself that you want answered. You can pop into the live stream and ask a question. I always do my best to answer those as well. Question, how many topics are in this book? This is the table of contents for this book. Right now, we just finished this one, eso and kaji. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chapters left in this book for the Level 1 workbook. Yes. And there are answers in the back. So if you are self-studying with this book, you can check the answers in the back that works as well. 1 month left. Okay, awesome. What else? Yes, if you want to get the book, it's linked in this live stream. It's on our website. You can find through our profile. It's on Amazon. And we also have PDF versions available. I know people sometimes prefer to have a digital version that they can either have on a computer or iPad, or can print themselves. So if you want to do that, you can get the PDF and do one of those options as well. If that's preferable for you, that's fine. But this is what it's called, the Level 1 Workbook. So if you like it, go check it out. I'll be back next week with more lessons, so come back, follow us on TikTok if you want to see some more. And I'll see you next time. All right. Thank you guys so much. Hope you have a wonderful Monday, wonderful week. And thank you so much for being here. 감사합니다. 네, 다음에 봐요. See you next time. Taome mana, I'll meet you next time. Bye. Thank you.